Hi everyone, I'm Leisha Craft, and I just wanted to share with you a little bit today about the things that I've learned about boundaries as a very sensitive individual. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this are very sensitive yourself. Some people approach that as an empath, picking up on other people's feelings, being able to read people very easily. Other people are very intuitive, or perhaps a combination. It doesn't really matter how it shows up. It's just being a very sensitive person is an interesting way to exist in our world. And what I have learned is that boundaries are absolutely essential to go through this experience. When I was younger, I didn't really understand what was happening to me, so I didn't have good boundaries in place. And as a result of that, I experienced a lot of emotional hardship and, went through different scenarios where things were just very difficult and challenging. And my belief system now is that with appropriate boundaries and learning that early on, perhaps we don't have to navigate the same hardships that other people have on this path as very sensitive people. So it's important to know that if you are a very sensitive person, what that means is that you're deeply affected by what's going on in the world around you, right? So it's not like, to take on with the ego, like, oh, we're so amazing, hypersensitive people are the best kind of people. We're special, we're different, we've got, okay, yes, and, everybody has their own special gifts. We're all made exactly as we're meant to be made. So, understand that being sensitive isn't like a badge of honor, and it's very important that we don't attach to it in the sense of a victimhood mentality. We definitely want to approach our sensitivity without, and I can speak to this because I've gone through this myself, without blaming other people for the things that are happening, or feeling like that we have no control, everything's just going to affect us, there's nothing we can do about it, life is so hard now, I can't go out to the mall without feeling everyone's feelings, and now this is limiting my ability to live. Okay, that's a perspective. that's a thought. That's an idea. That is one way that you could choose to approach this. And the reality is that if we're able to set some appropriate boundaries for ourselves, we can lead a pretty normal life and do a lot of those things without really being impacted too deeply. It's just a matter of understanding, what you are able to manage versus not manage. And working from a space of strong boundaries. So before I leave the house, what I do is okay, so you're hearing the dog toy squeak in the background, just so you know what that is, because I'm not going to start over. Or we'll never get through this. No, anyway. So before I leave the house, what I do is a simple clearing of my energy, grounding myself, right? Connecting in with the earth, just so that I have clear energy to begin with. And that's real easy to do, just a quick meditation, and I visualize just clearing my energy inside my body, in front of me, behind me, to the left, to the right, above and below. Everything releases down to the earth below, because the earth is a transformative energy. So the earth can transform any residual energy that's other people's, that's not yours, that you've picked up somewhere. The earth can take that and create new life from it, right? Transform it into love. That's the intention that we set. And then you bring in your love and light healing energy, or Holy Spirit, or connection to the divine, or however that looks for you, right? We want to replace any energy we've released by bringing it in through the crown chakra at the top of your head, all the way down through your system, not only within your body, but again, in front, behind, left, right, above, and below, because of your auric field that's all around you. And root all the way down to the center of the earth. Envision that cord kind of connecting you into the center of the earth, which is your grounding. And then earth energy, which is very loving, mothering energy, comes up through that cord, and again, all the way up through the soles of your feet and through your entire energetic field, back out through the crown of your head, connecting you above. Really, really simple, clear, quick way to clear and ground your energy. And then I set a boundary. So I start at my heart center and I blow a bubble up around me, and do that until it encases my entire energetic field. And I just set the intention that only love and light healing energy can exchange through that space. Now, this is not something that I do all the time, like in every interaction, because I prefer to experience my life pretty open, and it can what I found is that it can be kind of limiting, I think, to always have this bubble around you. But if I'm going out to a place where there's going to be a lot of people, or where things will be very emotionally intense for some reason, then I absolutely do this. Or if I'm spending a long period of time out with other people, I'll do this as well, because that can be wearing on you over time. And so that's the simple boundary that I set. And sometimes I'll call in archangels to support, depending on how strong I'm feeling, or if I feel that I need something additional, I'll ask angels to come and help support me in that intention that only love and light energy is coming through. There still reaches a point, if I'm out in a public space, where I will likely start to feel tired or drained, and it might be necessary for me to step away. But that's a choice. I get to do that by choice. And I do it simply out of respect and love for myself, and knowing that I may need to step back at that moment in time and say, okay, that's enough. And sometimes I push through that moment because I want to be present where I'm at, and it's important to me. And I know that I'll just let myself catch up later. Sometimes you have an energy hangover for a day or two when you push yourself in that way. That's what I've found. I call it an energy hangover. It's just feeling a bit heavy or dense and having to kind of reset yourself. It can be exhausting. It can feel just like you're moving through a lot, I guess, at once. But that's a choice. It's a choice that we get to make. We have the opportunity to make that. So if we want to stay and push through our boundaries or limits, we can. But it's really important to have boundaries about the people that you're interacting with, and how it is that you're taking on their energy, how it is that you're taking on their feelings. As a very sensitive person, personally, I find that a lot of people will come to me and want to talk about what's going on. And I'm good with that because I have good boundaries, right? I pay attention to my energy. So somebody comes in and they want to speak with me about what's going on, and it's outside of session work. This might be a friend or a family member or somebody I know. First thing I do is check in with myself. Am I in a place right now where I'm able to be present for this person in a giving way? If I'm in a deficit, if I haven't taken care of my needs, then that's not an option for me. I can't show up for somebody else in that way if I'm feeling drained or exhausted myself, right? So that's why self-care is really important, and having a regular practice there can definitely help you to perhaps be able to give a bit more, right? And, so I check in and say, is this okay with me? And then I also make sure that I'm not overly attaching to their outcome. So that's another boundary, right? As healers, especially, if we're slightly out of balance, or we haven't really learned how to work with that fully, we're not totally confident in that energy. Healer is kind of a loose term that we use for somebody who is here to make a difference or to help others along the way. It's really important to understand what is your work and what is not. You can show up for somebody, you can hold space for somebody, you can help them navigate through something, but if you've got somebody that you're working with who is very clearly not looking for a solution, that's the time to draw a line, okay? Because it's not your job to come in and help them, force them, push them, make them go, coerce them, bribe them, any of this stuff. That's not your job. Then you start crossing your boundaries, and that's when people who are very sensitive start to get sucked in to very exhausting, difficult, challenging relationships that they have a hard time exiting from. I can speak to this because I've done it, and I've seen it numerous times with clients of mine and other people who are very sensitive go through the same thing. So it's just important to have awareness. If you've got somebody who's showing up, who's ready to make moves, who's ready to find solutions and move forward, who is asking you to help them, that's important. They're asking you specifically to help them to move forward in this way, then that's a good place to engage and offer your help and offer that work. That's why I think it's really important for highly sensitive people who are really aligned with helping others to have some sort of a structured doorway for those people to come in by choice. So whether it's volunteer work or session work or a business or on the side or whatever you want that to look like, office hours that you're open to help other people with whatever they need, creating a structured space for that allows people who are ready for movement to come to you, right? And that gives us a place to express this part of ourselves, because the soul really wants to express this part of helping and healing with somebody who's showing up 100%, who is willing to do the work. That's really important. When we get into our personal life, what gets a little bit tricky is that you may end up encountering a lot of people who don't want to go. They're not ready to move. They're not really ready to shift or grow. They're not really asking you for your help. They may be in your life, but they're not saying, hey, I know you do that thing. Can you help me? They're saying, oh, I just have all these problems, and, you know, listen to me talk about my problems, and I'm not really looking for a solution. And that becomes very clear when you offer a solution and they come up with a lot of reasons why that won't work. And they will talk their way out of any possible solution that you bring them, right? That's how you know somebody's not ready. And that's okay. We still get to love them and accept them from their place of they're just going through something. And it's not that we're better. It's not that we're ahead of them. It's not that we've gotten it right. They are right where they need to be in that moment, and they're learning a lesson that they need to learn. People need to be empowered as they move forward, and that means they have to do it for themselves. They have to choose it themselves. They have to go after it themselves. They have to invest in it fully for themselves. It's not your job to step in and do that. This is the most important boundary that you can possibly have as a sensitive person. Understand that you will disempower somebody if you try to push them, force them, or shove them down their path to whatever you feel is the right growth for them at that time. Understand that you will disempower them if you sit in judgment. I'm better than you. I know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing. I'm in the right place. I know what's up. Right? Check yourself. We all have stuff. You know, come on, let's be real. We all have stuff we're still working through. We're not in a place of being equipped to tell other people what's right for them. It's not what we do. So, you know, when you encounter somebody who really isn't ready, it's okay to just take a step back. And that might mean less engagement. That might mean less conversation. That might mean less FaceTime with that individual. Pay attention to what you need and set the boundary where you need it. Okay? And continue to empower them. You know, I understand that you're going through this and you want to talk about it. When you're ready for solution, let me know, because that's really where I would like to help you the most, but I can't do that if you don't want it. However it is that you want to approach that, you know, it's wonderful if we can be open in our communication. As conscious people, we want to be talking about what's going on for us, you know. It invites everybody to start having a conversation about what's really happening under the surface. So rather than just, you know, block them on Facebook or you know, delete their number from your phone or whatever else. I've done that. I know it's easier sometimes to just say, get out. You're making me uncomfortable. You're crossing my boundary. Just go away. I'm just going to delete you from my life and not deal with you. But it's actually going to be a lot more transformative, and it might feel even better for you. If that's where you're at, you were able to communicate with them why you need some space or why it is that you're stepping back. Not everybody's going to like that, right? We don't always enjoy when there's a push. But if you can communicate that in a loving way that's non-judgmental, it can be really positive. Now, if you're in judgment, because sometimes we are, and if you're having a really hard time communicating lovingly, then perhaps, yes, in that case, it might be better to just disengage. Because, you know, again, this is really about, we don't want to be walking around stealing other people's power. And as very sensitive people, when we start to say that we know better than other people, when we start to feel like we know more, or we're more advanced, or that we're more evolved, that's spiritual ego talking. And that's a place where we will really get into disempowering people. It's a tricky, tricky thing because it sneaks in for everyone. It's not that you're doing something wrong. Everybody experiences this. It's just something to be in awareness of. So, getting back to boundaries. You know, create your safe space when you're going to go out and be around a lot of people or be in a very intense situation. Make sure that you take care of yourself in that way. Do what you need to do to make sure that you can feel okay, protected, and solid in yourself and your own energy. You know, take a step back from people who want to just circle in their issues and aren't looking for a solution or aren't asking you for help. Don't take that on as yours to deal with. Don't make it your problem. You know. That's oftentimes, for me, that's a distraction for me. That's like a huge red flag that I know that I'm not wanting to look at something that's going on within me, because I'll start focusing on other people. Oh, you've got this problem. Oh, look at you with that problem. Oh my God, we need to help you. And every single time, it never fails that when I really sit with that, I'm looking at somebody else to avoid dealing with something of my own. And it's not necessarily always the same thing. But usually there's something going on with me that I need to check in with. So it's a really good space to have a boundary. Let's not take on other people's problems. If somebody's feeling very emotional about something, it can be easy to take that on as well. Create a strong boundary. I had a friend mention once that she will just say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling that way," and it sort of directs the energy back to them. You're feeling that way, not I'm feeling that way with you now. You're feeling that way. And that can be a good way to set a boundary there. When it comes to engaging with a lot of negative stuff, like on the news or sometimes on Facebook feeds, we'll run into a lot of negativity there. That's another place to have some strong boundaries. Know when you need to disengage. Know when you need to take a step back from that. Listen to what's going on with you, and if you are really not feeling okay, take a step back from it. I've found there are times as I've gone through this process of learning for myself that I've logged onto Facebook and I've been scrolling the news feed. I click off and then I go off to do something and I realize, like, wait a minute, what am I feeling right now? I feel really, really tense or anxious, or there's something going on in my body now that I'm carrying forward, and I'll be able to check back and say, oh, that's where it came from. I picked that up while I was reading the news feed on Facebook. So you are going to have that happen, and that's okay. It's a good awareness to have that it can happen. Decide when and where you want to engage with that kind of energy on social media. And sometimes you will, I go in and I want to know what's going on in the world. So I do look at some news stories that could be considered negative because I know that I can handle that and I know how to clear my energy afterwards. Same thing I told you about clearing before I leave the house. Same process. I may not bubble afterwards, but I will clear my energy completely and bring in a different energy through, ground myself, and allow that to release. Know your boundaries with that stuff and take space when you need it. And if you're using it to escape something else again. Funny how this keeps happening, right? We're really sensitive people, and yet sometimes we use our gifts to escape from our reality, or we use things like social media to escape from our reality, or sometimes it feels important. We feel more important when we can feel other people's stuff, and that's spiritual ego at work, and it's okay. Everybody has it. It's okay, but be aware. Know what's going on for you. If you've gained a sense of self-importance from taking on something that's damaging to you, right? If too much energy of somebody else's is hurting you, it's hard for you, you're not clearing it, that can cloud your clarity. Just notice that stuff happening, and pay attention to where it's coming from, and allow yourself to release it. And that will really help in creating some strong boundaries around being a very sensitive individual and knowing how to navigate that without feeling a victim to what's happening for you. So it's a tremendous gift to have this sensitivity, and so many people are coming through with it now, and it's amplifying. And it's really incredible to me to think about what we're able to do from this place, how it changes the way that we interact with each other. It supersedes language. The thing about emotional experience that's always been so interesting is that our language is limited around how we can really communicate that, and so to be able to feel what someone else is feeling gives us such a more profound sense of togetherness and connectivity, and especially if somebody's in a place of hardship, to know that they are felt and understood. That's a gift, that's a true gift to be able to offer that to somebody. But we can't do that clearly if we don't know how to work with it ourselves. If we're not okay within ourselves, we can't show up and help anyone else. So that's why boundaries are so, so, so important. And so, I'm just sharing with you guys a few things that I've picked up on my own experience, navigating through being a very sensitive person. Obviously, this is kind of the tip of the iceberg with what's really there in terms of how to manage being very sensitive. And, it's a start. Good boundaries are a start, and it gives us a way to kind of begin to learn how to figure out what feels good for us. Clarifying our own energy, that's so important to me. To offer to other people awareness of how to do that, and perhaps an easier way than I experienced myself. Anyway, that's it for now. If you guys have questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'd be happy to get into anything else that you're looking at, further understanding or information on. But I hope you're having a great day. And if you ever want to chat, book a session. I do intuitive development work with people. Reach out to me. You can send me a message. Also, my website is lishacraft.com, and you can book sessions on there and see information on what I offer. So thank you again for listening, and I hope you're having a great day. Many blessings to you.